Assassin's Creed Shadows graphics have been majorly upgraded, and there's also some brand new gameplay improvements, which Ubisoft have now given us all the information about the latest upgrades and what kind of new changes are we going to be seeing in Assassin's Creed Shadows. Now in today's video we're going to take a look at all the details that Ubisoft has shared with me, and keep in mind that this video is going to be a little bit detailed in terms of what new upgrades and changes the latest engine for Assassin's Creed Shadow is going to bring. Now Ubisoft has shared 5 different in-game gameplay screenshots which were taken from the photo mode that's available in the game. So whatever screenshot that you're seeing right now is basically created using the in-game photo mode, so the graphics and everything that's available in the environment, including the character models, or just how the graphics of the final game is going to look like. Now of course there will be some minor improvements as Ubisoft polishes the game, because right now the screenshots that Ubisoft has shared is basically a build-in progress version. So the final version of the game is of course going to be slightly different and a much better version if they don't decide to downgrade the game's visuals as well. The first thing that Ubisoft confirmed is that the game is going to be running on an upgraded Anvil engine. Now a lot of people are confused whether or not if this is going to be the same engine that Assassin's Creed Valhalla and Assassin's Creed Mirage was developed from, but that's not the case here. As you can see from the character models, they are very much more detailed from what we have seen with Assassin's Creed Mirage or even Assassin's Creed Valhalla. Now of course as we move further on into all the details that Ubisoft has shared in terms of how the graphics and the gameplay mechanisms are going to be far more improvised from the previous Assassin's Creed games, you guys will slightly turn to understand how this game is going to be majorly affected with the brand new engine. So like I was saying, Ubisoft has confirmed that it's going to be an upgraded version of Anvil engine. Now this does not however mean that it's going to be a completely different Anvil engine, but it is of course a major upgraded version, so there is going to be a lot of difference in terms of how the character models are detailed, including some of the gameplay features and mechanisms that we're going to take a look at. Now the first thing that we're going to take a look at is that Assassin's Creed Shadows is going to have a much more closer camera angle to the character. Now lately with all the Assassin's Creed games ever since Assassin's Creed Origins came out, it seemed like the characters were kind of a little bit far away from the camera angle, which kind of gave this RPG feel to the entire game. But then Ubisoft did fix that issue, which 90% of Assassin's Creed fans were not happy about. So Ubisoft decided to go ahead and change that with Assassin's Creed Mirage, and now it's going to be very similar to what we have seen with Assassin's Creed Mirage. The camera angle is going to be much closer to the protagonist that we're going to be playing as. Now moving on to the next change, which is destructible environment, which is something that I am absolutely blown away from, because coming from a developer like Ubisoft, I don't think they've done something this major in terms of changes with any other Assassin's Creed game so far, and not to be surprised that they've previously been stating that Assassin's Creed Shadows was supposed to be their most ambitious games of all time, which is why Ubisoft has added in some incredible new destruction features in the game, where the first thing that we learned is that items inside the game are going to have slice mechanism, which means that, for example, let's say you're just walking down the street and suppose there is a fruit market next to where your combat takes place, and as your sword just slices through all of the fruits, you can actually see the fruit splitting into half. And it's not just fruits, it is also with plenty of other items. Most probably it's also going to be trees that you can basically cut down, that could be cut down with impact as well. Now the impact mechanism does not just end with this, because now they've also implemented a new feature called the puncture hole feature, where for example if you try throwing kunai at some enemies, or maybe it could be any objects, you will now be puncturing hole into your enemy's body, which could cause them to bleed, or you can even puncture hole into any of the items, and this hole is going to be staying in the game for a long period of time. Now when it comes to other NPCs or even the enemy characters, the slice mechanism or the dismemberment mechanism in the game is not going to be going away. The effects will remain on the character forever, which kind of makes it very fascinating to see how deep this effect is going to work on the game, or maybe it's just something that Ubisoft is over exaggerating, and this could just be something that we've seen with most Ubisoft games in the past as well. But as far as what they've said, it seems very interesting, and they've also confirmed that there is going to be a push to break item, which means that any items that you push or you just walk by, and any item that your character just rubs against is going to be movable, and you can pretty much just break items by pushing them, like boxes and all that stuff. And I really hope that it's going to be as good as what Rockstar Games did with Red Dead Redemption, where you could actually have this ragdoll mechanism where you could walk through the grass and the grass is going to be moving, and you could just push items and items would get pushed and fall off and break and all that stuff. So it's going to be as realistic as possible possible with the new Anvil engine as far as what Ubisoft has said. Now, speaking about graphics, the most important stuff comes down to the dynamic lighting system in the game. Now, one of the most interesting things that Assassin's Creed Shadows brings on is the all-new lighting system, and how far the lighting system is going to be playing a massive role in terms of how the stealth is going to be working in this game. Now, of course, we previously learned about how torch lights and candles and all the lightings that's available in the game, like lanterns, are going to be playing a very huge role in terms of how your stealth works. Now, you can sabotage all of the lights in the game, like sabotage the torch and lanterns, which will make the environment go much darker, and this will basically allow your character to be much more stealthier than you would usually be when the lights are on. So it's kind of a mechanism that Ubisoft picked up from games like Splinter Cell, as they saw that was one of the most exciting features in the game, and they decided to just implement that with the latest Assassin's Creed games as well. So that's something I'm really curious to see on how huge that's going to be impacting with how the stealth system is going to be working the game. Now, the next thing that Ubisoft confirmed in terms of how the graphics and the gameplay and the mechanism is going to be working is the new 4 dynamic seasons that are coming to the game, and they've also given us some screenshots which basically shows us on how the same location is going to be looking way different in all the different seasons. So as you can see from the first screenshot right here, where this is during the peak summer season, and then you can move on to the other season, which is going to be the winter season, where everything is frozen and there's snow everywhere, and it's basically a cold season. Now, I don't know if the cold or the weather system is going to be affecting on the type of clothing that you're supposed to wear in the game or not, but as of now, Ubisoft has confirmed that there's going to be 4 different seasons available in the game. First one is going to be spring, the second is summer, and the third is fall, and the final one is my favorite, which is going to be the winter season. Now, usually when it comes to Japan, the best seasons is of course going to be in fall and winter. And not only are these different seasons going to be visually stunning, but they actually have a huge impact on how the environment and the world and gameplay is also going to get affected. Now, for example, what Ubisoft has said is that during summer, the stealth approach of your gameplay is going to be much different, because the best example that Ubisoft gave is that during summer, your character can actually dive into a pond if there's a pond or lake nearby, and you can try to stealth your character by going underwater. Now, if you go to the same place and try to do the same thing during winter, the entire pond or lake or whatever water body is going to be around there is going to be completely frozen, so you will not be able to do the same mission with the same kind of approach during winter season, so you'll probably have to think for another route here. So that's just one of the ways of how all the different seasons are going to be affecting you. Now, another thing that Ubisoft said is that during winter season, there's going to be icicles that will form on the roof of all the different buildings, and as your character keeps running on the roof, these icicles could just melt or break and fall off, which could then cause a lot of noise, and your enemies are going to know that you are on top of the roof. So it seems like winter is going to be very against you in terms of how the stealth system works, but at the same time, winter has a lot of storms and foggy weather, which could kind of just blend you in, and you could just sabotage the torches, and it's going to give you some complete darkness and a foggy weather where you could just blend in with perfect stealth as a shinobi. Now, another thing that Ubisoft said is that during the spring season, you'll actually see all of the different grasses in the game are going to be much taller than usual seasons. So there is this new gameplay mechanism in Assassin's Creed for the very first time, where you could go complete prone in the game, yes, and crawl through the grasses like what we have seen with Naughty Dog's The Last of Us Part 2. So during the spring season, the same grasses are going to be super long, so the stealth system is going to be much favorable in spring. It seems like there's going to be a lot of greeneries and vegetation during this time. All of those things are going to be much more helpful in terms of your stealth. Now, if you take a look at all the in-game screenshots that Ubisoft has shared, one thing that you guys can notice is that the character models are immediately seen as a high quality model right here. Now, it's not just going to be affecting in terms of how the models and textures look. The graphics are of course going to be playing a major role in terms of what kind of season you're playing the game in. Now, it's going to be a thick foggy weather in winter, so all of these different seasons are going to make your game look much different, and it does seem like the graphics are having a major upgrade. And from one of the screenshots where you can see that the wind is going to be playing a major role in the game, because if you take a look at the flags from the faraway distance in one of the base camps, you can actually see that the flags are moving according to the wind. So it seems like the clothing physics is actually going to be moving this time, and that's something I'm really interested to see how Ubisoft has implemented that, because in all other Assassin's Creed games, usually when it comes to props in the open world, clothing is not something that really used to move according to the wind system. So that's something that's a major upgrade in Assassin's Creed Shadows here. And the lighting is also going to be enabled with ray tracing on. Now, this is going to be the first ever Assassin's Creed game that will be enabling ray tracing. So all the lightings and shadows are, of course, going to be very, very impactful in the game. Now, Ubisoft has shared a lot more information about gameplay details from combat system and character customization, from all the outfits and clothing and all of those information, which I will be sharing with you guys on my upcoming videos. So make sure to go ahead, subscribe, and turn the notifications on, because I'm going to be uploading videos every single day where I will be revealing all the latest information about gameplays and which edition should you guys be getting, what's going to be worth it for you to pre-order or not. All of those informations are going to be covered on my upcoming videos. I will be covering everything about Assassin's Creed Shadows right here on this channel. Now, if you guys did go on and enjoy this video, please make sure to go ahead and leave a like on this video. It really helps out the channel a lot more than you guys think. And if you guys have any questions related to some of the gameplay information that you might want to know, please leave them in the comments. I will love to go ahead and read them and reply to as many of you guys as I possibly can. Now, with that being said, I hope you guys have a wonderful rest of your day, and I'll see you guys on tomorrow's video. Until then, take it easy, fams, and goodbye.